With the recent unjustifiable price increases in PS Plus subscriptions and a less than stellar game lineup, do you feel Sony respects its core audience? Will you be renewing your subscription or looking for alternatives?
This is live from PS5.
Sony has dropped a bombshell that's rattled its dedicated player base, an abrupt price increase for its PS Plus subscriptions. The announcement, devoid of any comforting follow-up like improved features or additional content, feels like a cold shoulder to the fans who have kept the platform alive and thriving. While the new pricing structure impacts gamers globally, American players are in for a particularly nasty shock: a $20 uptick for the already mandatory PS Plus Essential tier. What's especially galling about this decision is the utter lack of added value. Usually, when a service inflates its prices, it at least attempts to soften the blow with enhanced features, new content, or some sort of added incentive. Sony has opted to do none of these, making it painfully clear that consumer satisfaction isn't part of their current business model. This isn't just a casual disregard for the player base, it's symptomatic of a larger issue. The move solidifies the impression that Sony is drifting away from the principles that made PlayStation a household name. At the heart of any successful gaming platform is a reciprocal relationship between the company and its core consumers. With this move, Sony risks severing that connection, giving gamers fewer reasons to stay loyal to the brand. Next thing I want to talk about is a lineup that lacks luster. Perception is everything. Unfortunately for Sony, its PS Plus lineup for September 2023 doesn't just lack sparkle. It tarnishes the brand. The poor selection of games featuring Generation Zero, Black Desert, and Saints Row is something even the most loyal PlayStation fans are finding hard to justify. What's worse is that this lackluster offering is served alongside an unexplained and significant price hike for PS Plus services. Let's take Saints Row as an example. In my humble opinion, I think this is one of the worst games of the year. Developed by Deep Silver Volition, the new Saints Row game is an attempt to reboot the franchise for a new era. Set in the fictional city of Santo Aliso, which is based in the American Southwest, the game aims for diversity and vibrancy in its setting. While the concept and setting might sound intriguing on paper, the execution leaves a lot to be desired. Santo Aliso is a city with immense potential, but it remains largely unutilized. It's relatively small, and though size isn't necessarily an issue, what matters is how alive that world feels. Here, the city falls flat. Buildings you can't enter, NPCs with limited dialogue options, and inexplicable behaviors like screaming upon seeing your character running make the city feel more like a cardboard backdrop than a living, breathing world. While we've already criticized the lifeless, underutilized world of Santo Aliso, it turns out that the city isn't the only thing devoid of spirit. The voice acting and script seem as if they were cobbled together at the last minute. The lines are cringeworthy, the delivery is wooden, and together they make a mockery of storytelling in video games. In a time when the bar for narrative and performance is continually being raised, Saints Row not only fails to clear it, but it also doesn't even seem to realize there's a bar at all. More bugs than a summer picnic. The bugs in Saints Row could fill a tome, from game-crashing errors to AI mishaps that see your allies running headfirst into walls. It's as though the game is trying to find new and inventive ways to be bad. We expect bugs in an open-world game, but not to this extent, and certainly not without some redeeming qualities to make us want to endure them. Given that this title is one of the flagship offerings for the PS Plus subscription service, which Sony recently raised the price for without providing additional benefits, it feels like a slap in the face to PlayStation's core consumers. It's not just that Saints Row is bad, it's that it represents a degree of corporate apathy and misunderstanding that is becoming all too common in the industry. Saints Row is a strong contender for the worst game of the year. From its uninspired world and laughable script to its cringe-inducing voice acting and abundance of game-breaking bugs, it serves as a cautionary tale for how not to reboot a franchise. If you've played the new Saints Row, did you find it as disappointing as we did? Or did you manage to find some redeeming qualities? Share your experiences and let's see if anyone actually enjoyed the game.